A new updated version of Animation Versus came to the open source convention this week. This demo has a ton of updates. I found over 70 hidden details. There's new animations, there's new moves, and everything else in between and beyond that. So let's go through my massive analysis of the Animation Versus open source convention demo. Subscribe for more Animation Versus content. Let's get started. First up is the new character select screen, now featuring the new characters that have been added to the game and the new characters which haven't yet been added. You have the option to choose a random character, or you can add a CPU to play against. For the unadded characters, they're greyed out, and from left to right it's Victim, King Orange, Conductor but without their hat for some reason, and the unnamed node character. We also get to see victory screens and victory animations for the first time, as shown by Green's victory pose. Now here we have a minor gameplay adjustment where instead of immediately bouncing off a wall, instead characters will stick into it for a moment before bouncing off it. This changes up the way that you approach combos and gives you more of a chance to do a follow-up attack after hitting an opponent into a wall. Here we have Blue using his node attack, which sends opponents into the air, but this clip also shows how your opponent can use your node attack against you, as once you're in the air they're able to attack and can fight back and actually use it to take a stock themselves. This is further shown by Green using the node attack, and how if you don't do any follow-up attacks in the air, you're not able to make the most of it. Now I'm pretty sure something that is new to this demo is the ability to grab people through a shield. Now I might be wrong, I might have missed grabs in one of the previous gameplay showcases, but I think grabbing is new now. But regardless, here we have Purple doing a mid-air grab against Green. Now speaking of Green, we get to look at some of Green's new attacks. In fact, all of the characters from the original creator build of Animation Versus have gotten a ton of new attacks. They're basically fully complete in this demo build. Here we have Green's musical up attack, which looks like an up strong of musical notes. Here's Purple doing an up throw. And here's a new circular visual effect which appears on some certain attacks. It looks really cool, and overall there's lots of visual things like this which have been added to the game in the recent gameplay reveals and also at this demo. Just overall the look of the game has become a lot more visually distinct and a lot more interesting. Green has a new stage swing entrance animation where they swing across from the left to the right, which I think looks really cool. And here we have some of Green's new attacks which I mentioned before. This big sweeping arch attack looks really strong for zoning and makes Green look just like a really strong, fun character. The more I see of Green, I'm like, I'm definitely going to main him. He looks so fun. Here you can see the Chosen One's palettes and a new update that you can choose to use palettes in any matchup. From what I've seen, I think each character currently has 3 palettes, which means that anyone can look very different, because a lot of the character design for the sticks is obviously based on their colour. So it's interesting to see how the devs have managed to get around this limitation by having other uniquely identifying aspects about them, just to make sure that it isn't confusing which character you're playing against if they're the same colour as another character, which does happen a few times with these colour palettes. Here we have Red's kick and spin attacks. The spin gives you a bit of upwards momentum through the air, which makes it look really strong for continuing combos. This is the Chosen One's grab and throw, and here we have one of TCO's node attacks, which I think has been revealed before, but it looks cool, so may as well include it. Now when Red goes to a new area of a stage, there's actually a little bird that he summons to help him stand up, which is such a cute little animation detail. Here we can see another one of TCO's node attacks, which is the more traditional launch them up into the sky where you can do a bunch of combos ones. Here we've got some new moves for the old characters. We've got Purple's diagonal dash and Blue's upwards arcing potion throw, both of which look like they just fill out the movesets for the characters. And in the same clip we have Purple's upwards firework node attack. We've got a few moves on this clip. We've got Purple's ranged attack, Blue's bow and arrow projectile, and Blue's multiple potion throw. Currently it seems like Blue's bow and arrow doesn't ignite the smoke clouds that you can put out, but I also haven't seen much footage of the arrow actually going into the smoke clouds, so maybe it does, but I think right now it probably doesn't. This one's quite cool. This is Purple's spinning sword attack where they wave the golden sword around their head. It just looks really cool. Now for Blue, this attack kind of confused me. I can't tell whether it's a spoon or a net that they're using in this attack. I'm assuming net, but it's some kind of sweeping move. This is Blue's portal smash, where Blue drops down a portal onto your opponent and then the hand finishes them. The hand, by the way, is I think the evil creature from the Animation versus Minecraft series, specifically the episode where they go to the Farlands. This attack can be quite a cool switch up. It's Blue's portal arrow, where the arrow gets sent back through a portal. So this move can help you trick your opponent if you're using lots of arrows, as it's a chance for you to send an arrow in a different direction than they might be expecting. And of course, we've got a new look at the city stage showing both the outside and the underground train station, which features these two platforms at the very top. And here we can see that awesome new circular hit effect in action. Here we can see Orange throw out a bear trap, which I think is new, I'm not entirely certain. Up next is one of the Dark Lord's alternate costumes, which makes him turn bright green, kind of like a nuclear green. It's really cool. And we also have some new palettes for yellow, which look a bit strange in this lighting, but you can tell one of them turns them white and one of them turns them orange, which is what I was talking about earlier with how some characters can now look like other characters. So it's going to be really important for the devs to make them visually distinct in other ways. While they aren't yellow at the moment, yellow has gotten some new attacks, as we've got a spin move and a horizontal projectile. And there's this new jump spinning animation, which looks really cool. This move is yellow's node grab, which uses parentheses to grab your opponent, then fling them into the wall. Here we have a vertical projectile which shoots straight upwards, and there's also some spinning effects or projectiles going around yellow at this moment. I've noticed these strange effects in a bunch of different characters. It seems to be somehow related to shields. I couldn't work out if they're just visual effects or have some kind of practical purpose. If anyone has any theories, can you let me know in the comments? I'd really appreciate that. Here we have yellow's new up attack, which just looks cool. And here we have yellow's new transition animations, one where they're standing strong and waving, and another where they come falling in but then use a teleport to right themselves. This clip is really interesting because it's two node attacks happening at the same time. So I'll get to that big error message in a bit more detail later, but it's one of yellow's node attacks, and there's also yellow's node attack which sends your opponent into the air with a slow fall going back down to the ground, which basically every character in the game seems to have. And here we have yellow's victory animation, where they're typing on a computer with a victory spin into their chair. Here we have all the palettes for the Chosen One, and again here we have TCO's node attack, which we have already seen, but again it's interesting to see it being used by new players. It gives us a more realistic idea of how this move will be used when we're seeing it in the context of it not just being an awesome combo with every single attack landing. Getting someone up into the air like this isn't an assured victory, it just gives you an advantage in order to start a combo. And here we have TCO's victory animation, where they just straight up leave. I really like this one, it's really funny. Here we have all of Purple's palettes, and here we have a million new things for Purple. Let's go through them. So we have this new swooping projectile, a sword drop attack which just drops a sword straight down like an anvil, and we have the fact that Purple's alternate costume makes the golden sword look like a diamond sword from Minecraft. So maybe that's a way to get around some of the copyright stuff, or maybe there'll be a suit on the way. They won't actually get sued for this, but I think it was interesting to point out. There's also Purple's diagonal wind projectile, which looks really interesting. And here we have a couple of Purple's node attacks. When I saw the first one for the first time, I said whoa involuntarily, because that's just how cool it looked. I literally just went whoa under my breath. This is really cool. This is a swivel side attack into an uppercut attack, which I assume takes multiple button inputs to do. And this is Purple's victory animation, where they fly around as happy as Larry. Here we have some gameplay of the Dark Lord. I'm pretty sure these have already been shown, but we have a combo and we also have a fireball bomb. And there's also the victory animation there too. Here we have Orange's node attack, which again just sends your opponent straight up into the air for a future combo. So here's a cool moment which shows how node attacks can be blocked. So yellow tries to do a node attack, but it fails as purple blocks it, and then purple follows that up by doing their own node attack. So it's important to notice that node attacks aren't just OP, you press this button and now you win sort of things. They're more of a extra move to your arsenal, which can be blocked like other attacks. Here we have a new projectile for yellow, which just slides across the floor. This clip again shows you how node attacks can be used against you. Even if you're the one who used it, your opponent can still KO you if you mess it up. Now, I mentioned this error message earlier. It turns out that this move is intentional and part of the game. It's not a real error message. Here's a clip of someone explaining how it works.
Node crush not declared in the scope. He was trying to do his node crush, but he misspelled the word crush, and so the error happens, and that is his node crush. So I mean, we'll never really know what his actual node crush was supposed to be, because he misspelled it, you know?
This is a really interesting change to the overall game, which I've seen being discussed, so it's interesting to see how they're actually implementing it into Animation Versus. In the creator build, KOs would always launch you into the wall and then send you off to the next stage. But in this version, it now varies. Sometimes you get sent into the wall, but other times it evaporates you in this really cool animation. But it doesn't only ever just do one of the two, it swaps between them, which I really like because it's a really nice bit of variety. It would kind of suck if they just kept it one way, you know, you're always being launched into the wall or you're always evaporating. It's way better this way. Here we have a better look at Purple's victory animation using their normal costume. And here we have Green's massive node swinging attack. Okay, let's watch this clip, then go through it because there's a lot going on. Blue uses a node burst attack, which puts the opponent into an upwards floating state. Then the node attack sends them into the air. But then red turns the node attack against blue, but then blue uses what looks like a node grab, which throws red through two portals, smashing him into the floor and winning the stock. Basically, this clip shows how back and forth even just a single combo can be in Animation Versus, which is why I love this game so much. It's such a nice change of pace to have a fighting game where even if you're getting comboed, there's still stuff you can do. There's no worse feeling than being trapped in a combo forever because you made a mistake 10 minutes ago. For example, Blue's node burst attack can be blocked, showing that all node attacks can be blocked as I mentioned earlier. Now I get to take a look at Purple grabbing, then doing an up throw, and then going into the victory screen in another one of Purple's alternate costumes, showing that regardless what costume they have, the animations remain the same. Speaking of costumes, earlier I mentioned the problem of having two characters being the same colour because they're both in the similar costumes. Here, blue is looking kind of whitey grey and orange is looking pure white, which in theory would make them really hard to tell apart. But because orange has bright orange items and green is holding that laptop, you're able to tell them apart fairly easily. As you can see, here we have orange doing a node attack into a grab throw, and you should be able to tell the two characters apart. And also, this is a really cool combo. Earlier we saw Purple's firework uppercut. Here's what it looks like if you use a node attack to complete it. It adds loads of swiveling effects around you and gives you more power, which is the same way that node attacks worked in the creator build, as it does a fully charged attack instantly. Here we have a small snippet of Blue's victory screen animation. I don't think I was able to find a clip which shows it better than that. Here we have Red's grab and punch. It's possible we've seen all of these grabs before, but there's something new, so I'd figure I'd mention them anyway. And here we have Red's new area intro animation where he does some karate kicks. And this dolphin uppercut looks like it's a new attack for Red, just like this new switch around grab attack. Yellow also has a new animation for entering into a new area, where they enter a bit of code saying hello world and do a wave, which has got to be one of my favourite new animations. And here's another look at Yellow's victory animation, this time in their original colour palette. This is a snippet of Red's victory animation where he literally jumps for joy, which I think is really cool. This is the best look we've gotten so far of the area above the train stage, which you go into when doing a node attack. As you can see, there's just a bunch of piping and smoke effects up here. There's also a bunch of little crocheted faces for everyone on the team, which is really sweet. You've also got a couple of conductors there, which is so great. I think this is our first and only glitch found in the demo. This glitch puts you out of the stage for a moment, which is really interesting. It's only for a couple of frames, so there's obviously some kind of script that detects when you've gone out of the stage and teleports you back in, but it's interesting to see that it's still possible for it to happen. There's also this strange air walking thing that can happen in the air, as it looks like Green takes a couple of steps in mid-air. To see more Animation Versus updates, watch this video here. I really hope you've enjoyed. There was over 2 hours worth of footage for me to crawl my way through to find all of the details, and hopefully I managed to find everything interesting. If you've noticed something else, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.